such a big movie for you. You want to just sing the song from Richie Rich?
Richie, meet the Richie. He's the modern richest family from the town of Whitesville. He's about to get a chestnut tree. I don't know anything about Richie Rich.
All the famous Richies you can think of. Richie Sambora.
Richie Schroeder. Well, that's technically a Ricky, actually.
Ricky. I'll count it. Richie Valens, because I think we're going to run out really quick.
Yeah, you've got, of course, Richie Nixon.
Sure. Richie Attenborough.
I'm literally out of Ranger Rich.
Hey, welcome to Your Inner Child's an Idiot, the podcast where we revisit things from our childhood and see if they're any good. My name's DJ.
Hi. Hello. My name's Damon. Thank you.
My name's...
I don't know why I went full Woody Allen for my introduction. And I actually, just a quarter Woody Allen, just the stammering.
Let's not say full.
Not a full Woody Allen, Your Honor. Just the stammering was part of it.
I'm forcing Damon to watch this movie, Richie Rich, from 92? When did this come out? I don't know.
No, I feel like that's 90s. Too early.
Okay, I'm gonna say 1991. I think it's actually 1991.
You think it's 91?
What do you think?
I'm going to say 1994.
Okay, let's do it. Richie Rich. The movie came out 1994. Good job.
I get the gift card.
The only reason I said earlier is because Home Alone came out earlier than I realized, and because I think Home Alone was 1990, and I was like, this wasn't that long after. But then I remembered Macaulay Culkin stayed young looking for a long time.
He had that Bieber disease where Bieber stayed weirdly childlike for a long time, and then he got real gross real quick.
It's called Bieber myalgia, and it's not funny.
That feels good to laugh.
So you never saw this. You've never seen this movie.
No. I didn't even like Richie Rich as a character. It's the laziest. He's rich. What can you do? The most interesting thing I know about Richie Rich is that
I didn't even like Richie Rich. Everybody loved that comic, that Archie
Someone
comic.
did. He's a character. They made a movie about him. The only thing I know about Richie Rich is the joke from The Simpsons where Bart theorizes that Casper is the ghost of Richie Rich.
Yeah.
And then Lisa says maybe he killed himself when he realized his wealth collection was empty.
Whoa.
That's the only thing I know because they have a similar nose. But his character is just I am rich.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of attachment to the the Archie Comics character, Harvey Comics.
Yeah, even Archie Comics.
Yeah.
I remember there used to be short, when I would watch animation blocks when I was a kid. Sometimes a Richie Rich would get crammed in there. And even then I was what's the joke here?
The main reason I wanted to revisit this right now is that we're about to go on a trip and we're going to go to the Biltmore estate, which is...
Oh, you're going to Anderson Cooper's house.
Yeah, this is where at least the exterior stuff was filmed at his house.
I think that's going to shine a lot of light on the making of Richie Rich, space, parenthesis, 1994.
1994. I definitely saw this, and I think I liked it as a kid.
Your Honor, I saw this.
I liked it because it's the kid's version of what it means to be rich. He has a McDonald's in his house. He has a roller coaster and all this kind of stuff that you if you were both a rich kid and your parents let you buy whatever you want. This is the kind of stuff that you'd get.
It seems like an equation that usually leads in charming personalities.
Yeah. Here's the thing that I think is going to be interesting. An interesting difference watching it now versus then, which is that I've learned a lot about what it means to be wealthy in the United States between now and then, not through experience, but through how difficult it would be to do so ethically. And it'll be interesting to see. I don't remember this movie going into that too much, but it's going to be interesting to read between the lines of exactly what they're doing, because his parents are they're the good rich. That's the
right.
Yeah.
they're like Elon Musk. They got their money from inheriting their wealth from an emerald mine run in apartheid South Africa.
Yeah.
Good rich, like that.
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
good
yeah,
rich person.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Are his parents dead, or they're just like
No.
let him do what he wants?
They just let him do what he wants, I think, and they get kidnapped in this movie. John Larroquette's the bad guy. Do you remember that?
Now I do love a Larroquette.
Yeah.
Is Larroquette alive?
Yes. And
Good for her.
His son is a prolific podcaster. Do you ever listen to Yeah Dude, the podcast?
I don't. I try to avoid things that say dude directly in the title. Hey, dude, you're on notice.
Fair enough.
So wait, hold on. I have more questions. Well, one thing I will note, like having a McDonald's in your house does seem like a ludicrous thing. Like, oh, this is something a rich person would do, a cartoon rich person. But then I found out like in the 2000s that wealthy people were having like Starbuckses in their house.
Really?
Yeah. Tommy Lee had a Starbucks in his house. And I was like,
fully staffed?
What are you talking about? I think so.
That's such an insane idea when you think it out, because you're like, why wouldn't you just have the coffee? What is it about the like branded Starbucks thing that you want? Unless you just like have a front facing part of your house that like you can earn money off of it or something. Like, I don't understand why you would actually.
You've raised some valid questions, and I did some thorough research while you were saying that last sentence, and I may have misremembered some information that I received from music television show Cribs.
Okay. He
had a professionally installed Starbucks cappuccino machine in his home.
Okay, well, that makes a little bit more sense.
Still a wealthy thing to do, but not as wealthy as like paying, for a part-time Starbucks employee to be in your home at all times.
Or just making your full-time, housekeeping staff like put on the apron and visor and go behind the counter.
Hey, Spencer, I thought you were taking off today. I thought it was your stepmom's birthday party. Oh, she had to reschedule? Oh, you switched with Brenda? Okay, whatever. Well, we're just eating dinner, but please stay, you got time to lean, you got time to clean, Spencer?
Yeah, am I right? It is like, I mean, we knew the rich kid schools and our high school, they had like, a food court, but that's different. I mean, but that's kind of like
right,
how
and they
you
were all
imagine
founded
wealth.
in 1956.
Right. Yeah. Gulp.
You can be an ethical rich person. Just move to the suburbs and take your tax money to that school. And because we rearrange taxes by zip code, only that school gets your tax money, and all the other schools don't.
It's not white flight. I am, however, white, and I am leaving this area.
I just realized when I inseminated my wife that I just really wanted more space for my home suddenly, and I wanted to not be around as many different looking people.
It's not racist. I just want to draw a red line between where I live. Okay. Anyway.
Feels good to laugh again. We're just on a roll.
Enough systemic racist real estate jokes. It's time to move on. We're going to watch Richie Rich starring Macaulay Culkin. And we'll be back right after this. You know what is more valuable than money? Speaking of Richie Rich.
No, what is more valuable than... Is this a riddle? Are you trying to steal my ring?
It's when people support us with money. That's more valuable than just money.
That is more valuable than the thing they're using to make our show possible.
If you want to transcend money by giving it away to us, patreon.com/YourInnerChildIsAnIdiot. You can support us. Different levels of support. We can read your name on the show. We can put your name in the written credits. Every once in a while, we do a bonus episode. We're not great at it, but sometimes we do it. And you'll get early access to the episodes whenever that's possible. Did a couple of live editing sessions. Stopped doing that because stopped having time to edit the podcast. So Benny does it now. Hey, Benny. Maybe Benny will do a live editing thing on our Patreon page. I don't know. What's up, Ben? Patreon.com/JirahandTrialsAnIdiot. Cha-ching! That's us enjoying your money.
It's also the lullaby that they would have sung to Richie Rich when he was a child.
Cha-cha-ching! Cha-cha-ching! We watched Richie Rich, 1994's Donald Petrie's Richie Rich. Sent sign. He.
Sent
Sent sign. Donald Petrie, I was
kerning
like,
is a mess. When you text that to someone, by the way, I can tell you over the past week, it's a mess when you do the sent sign as a C.
It really doesn't
It's out there in no man's land.
It's like up too much.
Yeah, it's like David Blaine. It's just like hovering a little bit above. It's like
this is a trick.
You don't want to call it levitating, but it's just like awkwardly above the sidewalk.
This is some sort of fucking trick. Sent sign.
Don't bother these people while they're at a bodega buying lotto tickets. David Blaine, just let them be.
Richie Rich is the richest kid in the world. Son of Richard Rich.
Yeah, senior. It's a senior sitch.
He's rich in money, but he seems to be maybe not so rich in friendship.
Happens. I see that happening a lot with rich people.
Yeah.
They're definitely not. I mean, have you seen Real Housewives? They all hate each other, and they're all constantly hanging out with each other. But go ahead, Richie Rich. Tell me this story, this tale of the poor rich kid with no friends. Sorry.
Richie Rich is he's the only son of the richest couple in the world, and he's the scion. He is set to inherit the business. He's being groomed at little kid CEO school, which we'll talk about.
Inherited wealth is a sin. Go ahead.
There's a nefarious character involved. John Larroquette's character, who has a name, I'm sure.
He does. It's Lawrence Van Doe. Just to keep in the trend of this naming convention that Harvey Comics came up with.
He tries to kill Richie's parents in order to take over the business. And Richie decides
to murder them all.
He stays home at the last minute, and so Richie's not there, but they think he's killed the Riches, but actually they survived as well. So Richie takes over the company for a while, and then Van Doe's had about enough of that.
Mm-hmm.
And he eventually gets custody of Richie. So he puts an end to that, takes over the company. He's about to drive it into the ground by maximizing profits. That's not what this company's for.
Boo!
You think we became trillionaires by maximizing profits? No, absolutely not. But then it turns out the Riches survive. They come back. Van Doe threatens to kill them all, but eventually, of course, they save the day. Van Doe is murdered, skinned alive in front of the children.
Mm-hmm.
Richie
as he should have been.
Yeah, Richie Rich makes friends with some poor kids and invites them over so they can be rich as well.
Well, no, he just shows them his wealth. That might have been a more ambiguous part of the movie where he doesn't actually give them any money. He just shows them the items he has as part of his wealth.
He gives them something more valuable than money. Friendship.
Aspirational goals.
Friendship.
By the way, you used the phrase killing the riches, which if this were real life, that would be the HBO Max only exclusive documentary about Lawrence Van Doe's scheme to kill the riches. And it would be like 9 episodes, but it really only needed to be 3 at most, honestly. Come on.
I know, like, you all need to just cool it with the multi-part documentaries that could have been 45 minutes.
Absolutely. And don't give me a second season of this Nexium crap. If you don't have anything, don't promote a second season yet.
You didn't have anything the first go round. Why are we doing this again?
It was just 9 episodes, and I was still like, what did he do? He ran, like, business classes? And then I watched 1 episode of the Stars version, and it was like, oh, yeah, he kept a teenage girl in a closet for a year. And I'm like,
that's information.
Interesting. That these people that want to rehabilitate their reputations on HBO didn't bring up the fact that they were, enthralled by a child molester. Weird. Anyway, you were talking about the Riches, I believe. Rich Senior and Rich Junior, his scion.
So this
is the first time we've used the word scion on this show?
We did a whole episode on the car. So
hey guys, remember the mid 2000s
when we were all doing this?
We were all having cube cars.
So what?
I was just gonna talk about Macaulay Culkin in general in this.
I want to talk about, before we get to him, I got to talk
Please,
about Donald
okay.
Petrie. Because I didn't
okay.
recognize that. I recognized that name just enough to be like, wait, who is this?
Mm.
And he's the guy who gave us Mystic Pizza, which I've never seen.
Julia Roberts.
Opportunity Knocks, which I have seen I've seen a weird amount of times in my life. So he gave us Opportunity Knocks. Grumpy Old Men.
Now that I'll give him credit for.
My Favorite Martian. Miss Congeniality. Heard of it.
That is
How
good.
to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Donald Petrie, you seem to be all over the place.
Welcome to Mooseport.
With Ray Romano. My brother's so tall.
Yeah, Ray Romano and Gene Hackman.
Notorious asshole Gene Hackman. From the Chevy Chase school of antisocial behavior.
So anyway, I just found that interesting because I was like, is this guy a guy? And yeah, he was for a bit. This guy was a guy.
This guy was a guy. Thank you. Is he
You wanted
still
to talk
making
about-
movies?
Doesn't seem like often.
By the way, just a small tangent on Gene Hackman. I like when you learn like real reputable like dirt on an actor and you're like, oh, the guy, like when Wes Anderson was just like, Gene Hackman's a complete asshole and I'll never work with him again. And then you sort of look back on all this sort of more friendly anecdotes about Gene Hackman where he wouldn't shave his head for Superman and he insisted on wearing more and more ludicrous wigs. And I'm like, oh, this was like the 70s version of people going, Gene Hackman's an asshole and I don't like working with him.
Right. But he's Gene Hackman, so we got to roll with it. And now we're like, he's basically retired anyway. So
Popeye Doyle. All right. I was just going to say about Macaulay Culkin that he seemed like he did not want to be here. It seemed like he had lost a bet. Like I felt like he lost that joie de vivre that we see him in other movies sort of have.
Well,
he just seemed like he was like glum. There's a weird part where Gloria, a child named Gloria, again, can't get over it. I think you got your number. He does have her number at some point because they become friends. But she says, I used to think you were a spoiled brat, but I don't think that anymore as much, or some sort of 90s joke like that. And he's like, gee, thanks. And like, he doesn't even like make eye contact. He just sort of mumbles it. And it just seemed like he's like, we're not doing another take. Let's just get this over with.
Well, if you recall from our last Culkin joint, Home Alone, he was very bad in that, but he was still like 8. So
yeah, he was still adorable.
He was so cute. Now he's like cute for a 12-year-old, he's like but he's older and you can't really get away with it. I don't know that he got worse, but he definitely didn't improve. And so now it's like the sort of wooden kid thing. And it's like a less excitable role. I think Richie Rich, like as a character, to give way too much credit, is a bit more stiff, right? I mean, he's like learning how to be a kid, but generally he's like wearing, vests and like tailored suits all the time. He's not like a rambunctious run around and murder criminals that enter their house kind of kid,
Well, I mean, I feel like
he becomes that more.
He does become that more, but I feel like the movie wasn't sure what they wanted Richie Rich to be because at sometimes he is kind of a stuck-up little prig, and other times he's like, I want to play baseball with the guys. Hey, who snatched my ball?
Look at all those kids playing ball.
I got my stick in that wheel thing that they had in the 1920s.
The wheel thing, hoop. You mean?
Yeah, that's right. And then there's a weird gag that I just like, I didn't even know if I was on the same plane of existence for a while, where he is taking back control of the company from John Larroquette about halfway through the movie. And while he's discussing his plans with John Larroquette, he keeps like making like mouth, wacky mouth things in the magnifying glass.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this? What is this version of the character where he's just like being a child, which is understandable, but like they haven't played this aspect up of the character up until now. It's just this weird gag, and I'm like, is this just literally for the trailer so that you'll have a quick shot of him being childish for the trailer, or what is this?
Well, see, this is something that's important, like with, it became a big part. They call it the Petrie School. It's, the Petrie School of acting through milkshakes. So that's how you know that he's a child, is that there's a milkshake in nearly every scene. Because like No adults drink milkshake, and by the end, he's got the whole board of directors drinking milkshakes.
It shows that they are also children at heart.
I mean, because who doesn't want a fucking milkshake? Your boss is like, "Do you want a milkshake?" What is your answer? Yes, of course. Yes, maybe not every day, but like.
Yeah, I mean, I've got heart disease, Richie. You don't know about that yet, but I can't have a milkshake every day. In fact, Donald Petrie went up to Norman Rockwell once, and he was like, "Hey, have you ever thought about painting a picture of a cop sharing a milkshake with with a little girl, and it'll be charming. We'll put it on the Saturday Evening Post." And Norman Rockwell was like, "Why is this 5-year-old child like giving me direction on paintings? And how did you get in here in the first place?"
Yeah, that's the Petrie School. What? I've lost the thread. I don't know what we're talking about.
I'm the one who's been drinking. DJ.
I don't know what's happened to my brain. Do you like that I had to go back for that? It's not even that
it was
good
definitely worth it. What I liked about it is that we got our legs stretched just to go back to the Donald Petrie School of Acting, and it turns out it's like milkshake based. And then I said, I bet I can extend this. I'll talk about this weird, obscure Norman Rockwell painting and describe it poorly.
You know what I like about this is my brain is broken, and I am less in control of my mental facilities more each day.
So when we started this movie, when I hit play, my brain like finally clicked into place, like a game of connection, finally slid in. And I was like, oh, wait, I fell for the classic DJ trap in that I'm now consigned to watching a movie that is all children. While the opening credits were rolling, I was like, why would I do this? It's literally about the richest kid in the world. I hate children, and they're acting second most. But I was
not
surprised.
Me. I love it.
You can't get enough of it. More Haley Joel Osment, please. In a normal way.
Yeah, let's move along from that.
Come on, guys.
Line of joking.
But I was a little confused because actually when I started watching this movie, I realized that the kids are almost an afterthought, and it's about corporate espionage and murder attempts more than it was about like what it's like to be a lonely kid. In fact, like it felt like the lonely kid parts were just sort of peppered in between scenes of, John Larroquette sexually harassing his secretary and Edward Herman and Christine Ebersol acting like ludicrous caricatures of rich people on a raft. The kid stuff seemed almost like an afterthought.
Yeah. Well, and some very Marxist-leaning business practices and political holdings by these richest people in the world. I don't think those two things work.
I was very confused by that. I was like, a part of me was like, I appreciate the effort to make like a moral billionaire, but like, that's not how making money works. I'm always reminded of there's an episode of The Simpsons where Homer tries to get rich on the internet and Bill Gates buys him out. And by buying him out, he just has goons break his computer. And he says a line which always sticks with me, which is like, do you think I got rich by writing checks? And then just laughing maniacally. And that's what I always think about with rich people. I'm like, they don't want to spend money. That's how they got rich. And they don't want to buy factories so they can give the rights back to the ownership of the factory to the workers. I mean, good for the movie, I guess, for creating this weird wealth utopia where you can be both rich and a socialist. But I don't know. It just seemed like a weird tying itself in knots to create a universe where you can root for these hyper wealthy, like these cartoonishly wealthy people.
Well, and they like the part of like the big crux of the movie is the thing they hold most valuable is their son and all these treasured memories they have.
I legitimately got upset when they said that.
But it's also like, and they're like, well, obviously this is, they're basically trying to paint them as not shallow people. They live in the Biltmore house.
They have worked dollar signs and cent signs into their brand logos. Their child's mobile was literally just money hanging from the mobile.
Dog, they special bred a dog with dollar signs, cent signs all over it. Don't know how that works. They had to kill a lot of other dogs to make this happen. I'm just saying.
They did an episode on Nova about it. How you get dogs with dollar signs on them.
It took 1,000 years, but they got it done. It's just like, I kind of understand what they were trying to do because they wanted to make them likable. Like Richard Sr. drops almost everything every time Richie wants something. Like he like brings him to work. He like plays catch with him while he's on these important business calls.
Right.
He like, if Richie calls, he answers no matter what's going on. He makes a special dad link. Dad not found. Dad not that. As soon as that happened, as dad link came up, I started saying that to Dad not found.
I like that it repeats itself because it just reminded me of like Apple operating system updates. It's just like, turn it off. Just turn it off, Richie.
We're good. Yeah, we're good. He's dead. I get it.
Dad not found.
But the idea was, I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to make these likable characters, while at the same time, it's like they have, like, it's the character. You can't do Richie Rich.
The premise of the character is that he's ludicrously wealthy.
Yeah. So I honestly, I don't have a better idea, but it is also very like jarring to like see all these things. You're like,
because he's just buying factories, I guess, all over the country to save people's jobs and give the factories back to the workers. Is this part of his plan just in general, or is this a special case?
Well,
Here Union Tool, normal company name, or was it Union Tool? United Tool.
United Tool, yeah. I mean, you could do that. When you get to a certain point, like his money is making all the money he could possibly need at this point. Professor Keenbean, you want to talk about him?
Yes, Michael McShane, who, when I was a youth, like many youths, I watched a lot of Whose Line Is It Anyway, the British version, just to be clear. Again, still a very popular middle schooler. And Michael McShane was on the British version a lot. He was on the British version a lot, and I really, really liked him. And so he never really was a popular actor here stateside.
He had a few things. He was in this. He was in Office Space. He was in like just a few. He was
showed
up
in an episode of Seinfeld. He was FDR, aka Franklin Delano Rossitano, or something like that. He had little bit parts here and there, but he never got like a thing where he really showed his stuff. And this is not that role. This role is just fat jokes. There are two larger characters in this. There's a kid, and then there's Professor Keenbean, or whatever the fuck his name is, and they both like get constant fat jokes.
Yeah, they're always eating.
They're always like tempted by food. When we're introduced to Richie Rich's private McDonald's, Professor Keenbean's already in there, and he's got a stack of various items from the menu there at that Scottish bistro McDonald's. It's very annoying. This
they're also thing. Not funny. Like it's like it's gross. It's dehumanizing.
Yeah,
I hope that someday we can move past it, but also. They weren't funny, There's
like someone put a sandwich on Keenbean's chest during the climax when he's tied up, and rather than trying to free himself, he's trying to eat the sandwich that's sitting on his chest, and he can't reach it. Like when they finally rescue him, he's like got his tongue pressed against the sandwich trying to get it. I'm like, movie.
That was always a weird scene. Not to skip too far forward or talk about something else, but I'm gonna. And that moment before he puts it on Keenbean's chest, like. Van Doe, Jean-Luc is the villain, is holding it, and he like is about to take a bite, and the sandwich it's clearly like an umpteenth take because he's eaten a lot of the sandwich. And he only has like a very small, but he's holding it still with two hands, and he goes to take this big bite, and it's always just kind of awkward, and it like sticks in my memory, just like the way he's holding the sandwich and the way he goes to bite it before he gets distracted, and then
it's like, when did he make a sandwich during this scheme of his?
Oh, Keenbean made it. He stole his sandwich.
He's eating his sandwich.
Yeah. That's part of the scene before. No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
There's a lot of Easter eggs in this movie. You really got to pay attention.
A lot of lore. It's like the DCEU. This is on my YouTube
channel later. I'm about to break the whole thing down.
Gross. I'd rather die. There's also a lot with Keenbean. There's a lot of like pratfalls and wacky inventions. It sort of reminds me of like. I think he's supposed to be like a Q-like character, or even like the scientist from The Naked Gun, more like where he's coming up with these wacky inventions that definitely do come into play during the final act.
This whole, it's Chekhov's super sticky molasses stuff, but it's also like the lab, and then also the artist who's creating Mount Richmore with lasers and shooting at her coworkers, like with this giant rock. Chiseling laser. This is all super dangerous. I know it's like set up to be like, isn't this a wacky, fun place? But it was like my first thought is, okay, so they test it's in one of those like pumps that you would use for bug spray, and
it bulletproofs your anything.
Yeah, they spray it on clothing, and then they get behind this plexi, and then the assistant just shoots bullets at this child.
Also, I wrote on my notes, define bulletproof, because there were holes all through the suit that was supposedly impervious to bullets. I was like, how does this work again?
Richie Rich also gets Claudia Schiffer to train him. Arnold Schwarzenegger's his regular.
I wrote, oh good, Richie Rich is horny. Because that was also a weird like Macaulay moment where when she comes in, she's like, I'm here, and Richie Rich looks at the camera, which I think is the only time he does it in the entire movie, and goes, what does he say? Yikes! Or something like weird, and raises his eyebrows up and down. And I'm like, don't get your little wiener hard for this. This is weird.
It was weird. Congratulations on the zit, sir.
This is what's his name? Herbert Cadbury, who is a character from the comics. Most of these characters are characters from the comics. In fact, I think one of the comics that was for Richie Rich was Richie Rich and Cadbury, and he's like an Alfred Pennyworth type character. He's just always around Richie Rich, getting him in and out of scrapes, perhaps. But here he just seemed, I didn't know what to do with this character. Like it felt like it was like just sent from central casting, like out of the box butler generic character. There didn't seem to be much interesting about him. He was just like a by the numbers butler character. And then at some point he gets sent to jail and he has to like escape from prison, and he's wearing like biker outfits for the rest of the movie. And we're supposed to be like, the things we know about this character tells us that he is uncomfortable in these biker outfits. And like, all I know is that he's a butler. So he wore a uniform before. What do you want me to, I don't know anything about this fucker.
I'm gonna disagree with you while also damning the movie with faint praise by saying I think he is the most well-drawn character in this entire movie. He is an uptight butler, and he is more uptight at the beginning of the movie, but he's also like fiercely protective of Richie. Like the Van Doe's like dipshit bodyguard guy, like grabs Richie because it's like it's time to go. They're moving, and he like grabs him by the arm, not in an aggressive way. That was bad, but also not in he was a little kid. He wasn't listening. Like you could see somebody doing that, and then Cadbury like shuts it down. It's a good. I thought that was a pretty good. Again, for this movie, indication of like how he feels about Richie, is protective and is kind of like a surrogate parent when his parents aren't around. And over time, we see Cadbury open up a little bit, loosen up a little bit. He goes to prison and makes friends. They're playing gin rummy.
I did laugh when he said gin. He was like chagrined that he was winning, and the other inmate was very angry about losing gin rummy. He gets toothpaste. I mean, I agree with you about the moment where he defends Richie Rich. Otherwise, though, I felt like he was like a stereotypical butler character. Maybe that's what he is. Yeah. And like the laughs that he gets, because he did get me to laugh the most.
You think Herbert Cadbury, Richie Rich's valet, is a stereotypical butler?
That's right.
How goddamn dare you?
He was by the book, but I mean, because he's by the book, I'm like, okay, well, I can just fill in the blanks here. And he got a few laughs out of me because I didn't have to do much investigating into his character. I was like, yeah, got it. I guess I've seen Downton Abbey. I think I know how this works.
Upstairs, downstairs, I get it.
And he got a few laughs out of me, him brushing his teeth and then raising the toothbrush and it's all melted. The gin line made me laugh.
He also says right before that, because he's thankful for them giving him toothpaste, I was beginning to think my teeth were growing fur, which the descriptiveness of that has always grossed me out.
No, my brother calls it my teeth are wearing socks.
I don't like that. I don't like either of those things. I like that one even less. They probably haven't even been vaccinated. That stuck out.
These days, what with the goings on and the headlines. I mean, honestly, I don't have much to say about this movie. I wrote a lot of things down. He's a prisoner in his own house, like Ellen. That was a note I wrote down. Sexiest man alive. He's 12. That was another thing that bothered me.
I got some stuff. I want to talk about the CEO training school. For his school is basically a Ben Stein-led CEO training school, and it's full of pretty good bits.
No, yeah, they're all at like big CEO desks, like those big, like mahogany 80s style like desks, which was a funny sight
like,
gag.
They're all being like kind of brats, and I can't remember all the bits, but Richie faxes a note to another desk and then immediately the other kid immediately shreds it when the teacher catches them. It's very funny. It was a lot of the marrying of like shady CEO shit and little kids being little kids was pretty good. There was one.
It sounded chill down my spine, but it did make me laugh.
Right. It's bad for humanity, but it's funny in this moment. There's also like the prissy school friend, which was pretty. He's not actually talking about being gay, so I don't know if you can technically call it homophobic, but it was very homophobic.
I'll call it homophobic. Yes.
Yeah, it was very.
When
gross.
they're in fencing class, he pokes another boy in the ass with his.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. It's definitely homophobic.
Sword and says, "Watch your rear. It's the first rule of defense." And then Richie Rich does it to him to humiliate him because he's such a confident, effeminate man. You need to put him in his place. So he pokes him in the butt and repeats the same line. He also, that same kid, when they're in class, has the shadiest plan for dealing with a corporate takeover, and he gets chided by Ben Stein. By the way, creationist, Ben Stein.
Oh, yeah.
I just think both should get equal shakes in the classroom and let the kids figure it out.
Both these things, but have equal evidence for and against them, right?
That kid,
Ben Stein, don't make me like you with your game show, and then make me hate you when I find out more about you.
Just make me hate you first, and then do your game show. Don't start with the game show.
Make me just stay indifferent to you, like I was before that. Is that the guy from Ferris Bueller? That's fine.
That guy who wrote speeches for Nixon?
Fine.
Great.
That's fine. Oh, shit.
Yeah, I mean, the way those kids like reacted, because Richie is the only one who seems like morally guided, and the fact that all these other kids are actual terrible people who at one point one suggests something and Ben Stein has to say that would be illegal. It's like chilling. It's accurate, but it's chilling in a way that made me uncomfortable. I still laughed at it, but it was very uncomfortable.
Well, and there had been plenty that had happened by 1994, but it's only gotten worse in the 27 plus years hence. I want to talk about we already talked about Culkin's acting, but I just wanted to point out that he mourns his parent like he lost his favorite baseball mitt. Like he's like, "Oh man, I guess my parents are dead." Yeah. Now, he pretty adamantly believes they're still alive. So like, I guess there's a little bit of leeway there because he just thinks it's a bummer because he's kind of in denial, and he's right, of course. Right. But it's just funny because when he finds out, he like mopes. No, just blind hope. Okay. I think at first until later, when the dad link, dad found.
Get it?
It's a metaphor, hamhead.
What's that from?
I don't know. John Larroquette says it at some point.
I wanted John Larroquette. Like I was somewhat like hopeful because I like John Larroquette. I was really hoping that he would like at least his character would be kind of fun. But it really was. It was just straight from Central.
He's pretty. I mean, he does try to.
Don't get me wrong. He does try to murder someone. But I thought it was going to be a situation where the villain is like secretly the funniest and most charming person in the movie, like a Disney movie, where you're just like secretly rooting for them because you hate everyone else. But unfortunately, even John Larroquette's like general charm and smarminess, or as I call it, charminess, he doesn't really bring much to the table. It almost seems like he's also like, oh, Macaulay Culkin's not, I'm going to match Macaulay Culkin's energy here. I'm just going to do what he does. He also just seems to be sleepwalking through this.
It's pretty by the numbers. He has a couple of moments that are kind of funny, but he doesn't, and it's not that he doesn't get much to do because he is the villain and he has plenty of scenes, but there's not really anything for him to sink his teeth into, and he doesn't.
Yeah.
It's very paint by numbers villainry. Although,
even with the sandwich, he could have sunk his teeth into that. Didn't, as you noted.
He tried, got distracted. He does create a sense of danger, though, because he is murdering. So I guess there's that.
He does have a sense of menace, I guess.
Yeah.
DJ, I have bad news. For the first time in a long time, I don't even have my one big thing.
Oh, shit. My one big thing we've kind of already talked about, which is like socialist tendencies by billionaires. I think there's no reasonable conclusion to that, except for you don't get to be a billionaire anymore. Like if you follow that logic, like you could see someone having a turn, but it ultimately has to result with you giving up as much as you humanly can of your fortune, because people don't need that much. That's the whole point. That's the point. While I don't want to get into
this whole
whether
thing is like people don't need this stuff, and I mean they have like multiples of stuff they don't need. They're bored out of their minds. They're sort of the idle rich. It reminded me a little bit of like Addams Family. Addams Family sometimes plays this up with the Addamses, where they are so wealthy that they don't need to do anything. They just accumulate wealth. But there's something about the Addamses where they're so just like out there that it doesn't bother me that much. They're just like doing their own thing, and they're so overtly. I mean, the Riches are also cartoonish, but I mean, the Addamses are even more so cartoonish. Right. That I'm like, whatever, do your thing, you guys. Another irony I just realized while you were talking was that he is. Richard Rich Sr. is also the owner of a company with a board of directors. If he truly believes that he should give companies back to their workers, he should give his fucking company that makes candy bars, is what I gathered, back to his fucking workers. Someone's making those fucking candy bars. And it's certainly not those rich fat fucks in the... Let me say it again, because I just talked about the fat jokes. Those rich old fucks in this boardroom.
Yeah, I forgot. We got to talk about the Biltmore. That's the whole reason we did this.
Yeah,
movie.
Please do. What insights to Richard Rich (parentheses 1994) did you get from being in the Biltmore?
So we visited the Biltmore, which is where all the exterior locations and some, I guess, of the interior locations were shot.
From what I read, it was mostly on site. They got their money's worth, at least, because the Biltmore is in the background a lot in this.
Yeah, they have a lot of money shots of the Biltmore, especially outside and the fountains. And I will say this: the main thing I learned is that it's neat to see something in real life that you just saw in a movie or on television.
Interesting. Now, did you spring for the $240 Richie Rich specific tour?
Yes, they catapulted us over the fence. They let us put bubble bath in the fountains. It was delightful. I got to murder a security guard by putting him through a machine. That's what we were like. We were walking around. We're like, where's the fucking lab? This house sucks. All I wanted to see was the lab. I wanted to turn some shit into a bedpan, and I mean,
that lab did look like it was definitely in the Biltmore and not in just like a warehouse in a studio somewhere. Just put up gray walls. Who cares?
We were kind of like, did they film the lab here? Because if they did, they really didn't take advantage of the space. Got to see the pool. There's a pool that no longer operates, but it was I guess a very rare thing when it was built. Did you went to the Biltmore when you were in Asheville?
No, it was kind of raining on and off that day, and we were with Tyler's parents. This isn't good tape, but we were with Tyler's dad and his sister, and they really weren't interested in. They seemed ambivalent about going. We thought about going to the gardens, but then it was raining. The price was pretty high for the thing. You get it.
Yeah, I did. I think something that you can relate to, but Lauren and I made an enemy nearby
I love making
on the
an
tour.
enemy.
This imaginary enemy.
No, it's all imagined. No one cares about me.
It's all completely in my head. There was a woman near us who she was with her boyfriend, and she was just laughing loudly at a lot of things. Not at anything happening at the Biltmore, because it's not a funny place per se.
It's not like Toontown in there.
But it was weird how I immediately became like old money, because I was like, oh, she must be nouveau riche. Shut up. We're trying to enjoy this tour.
Brown over here keeps laughing.
Yeah. But that's it. I will say this big conclusion. I just want to kind of gain all of the information, put it together, and just say it's a really big house.
You've really given me a fresh perspective on things. Just in general, just nouns, people, places, and things in general. Thank you, DJ. I think it was really worthwhile that we watched Richie Rich, parentheses, 1994, because you were going to the Biltmore. Hannibal was also filmed at the Biltmore. I just want to say
Is that true?
Yes, Hannibal, not the show.
I didn't know that.
The 2001 movie.
Oh, I've never seen that.
There's a brief exterior shot of the Biltmore. What else do you need?
You didn't bring it up?
I should have said something.
You've seen that movie.
I should have said something.
Now, I also saw someone that I literally haven't seen since high school.
Anderson Cooper?
What's up? What's up, Andrew? No, it was not Anderson Cooper.
He's like, I'm in the
East
Wing
He was
today.
a grade above me. And also I see him every day. So let's go to the verdict, shall we?
Let's.
I'm going to take my helicopter because I'm rich.
I'm going to be I'm going to put in a cage and then push through an electrical field.
I can't hear you. The chopper blades.
I'm just saying I'm going to be electrocuted to death in this cage for some reason.
I've got these headphones on. Can you put your headphones on?
I don't know why they didn't just shoot us, but they put us in this cage.
Okay, Damon. What's your verdict?
Yes. Hi. I wanted to be angrier about this movie than I am.
Love feeling anger.
And I wanted to maybe find a secret little gem in this movie that I did not find. I mostly just watched this with a blank expression on my face. It was neither so unfunny that I was offended, neither was it funny. It was just sort of this nothing of a movie. Imagine eating just like unflavored tofu and just like, yeah, okay, I have consumed something. Didn't have any flavor in it, but I ate it.
Says the grape nuts lover.
Hey, at least that makes a sound when I chew it.
That's true.
This is nothing. Don't watch this movie. The people in it don't seem to be enjoying themselves, except possibly Christine Ebersol seems to be having a fucking blast.
Yeah.
But the movie is it's filmed in the most boring way possible, despite having one of the most beautiful private homes. Let's not forget it's Anderson Cooper's grandfather's home. I just want to point that out yet again. That in
real
in
riches
America,
to riches story.
He finally made it. To his family, they're probably like, "Oh my god, I can't believe he's a journalist on television."
Television.
How did he fall into that crowd? I don't. I'd rather it was a worse movie. I'd rather it was A Christmas Story or Battlefield Earth or anything else. This was just such a waste of my time. What did you think, TJ?
So you're in Child as an Idiot? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're in Child as an Idiot.
So, there are myriad flaws with this movie that we just spent almost an hour talking about. Having said that, other than the specifically offensive things that we pointed out, the fat jokes and the homophobia, it's I want to say
weird sexism towards his mom not knowing what a socket wrench is.
Yeah, that's true. But also beyond those things, which could be considered offensive, it's just, that's the word I want to use, is inoffensive. It's just kind of like,
despite its offense,
right?
It was inoffensive.
I'm giving too many caveats for it to make any sense anymore. But it's just it doesn't say anything. The most interesting thing it says, it doesn't make a lot of sense, which is the sort of socialist tendencies his father has, which is wait, what? It's hard to square.
And even that
also,
is just sort of, I think that's not even a character element. That's just sort of a way to sort of hand wave to the audience that, oh, this guy's a mensch. Don't worry about him.
He's one of the good ones. Yeah. But it's also not, you're absolutely right that it's not bad enough to be mad about. There's a good bit of kid acting, especially from Macaulay Culkin, and he's not good at it.
He is not good at it.
I watched this movie a lot, apparently, because I remembered a lot of it. Not like it was one of my favorites, but I have just seen this a lot because I was remembering every moment, as opposed to that movie you've like saw a couple times maybe when you were little, and then you have it again. You're like, there's so much you forget. You're like, oh, right. This.
Oh, they killed that guy before that.
If this was like special to you, I don't think you'd go back and be mad about it. You know what I mean? So it's hard to like. It's a little bit hard.
I wouldn't. Don't go up to your friends and be like, "You haven't seen Richie Rich?" Parenthetical 1994.
I want to say this:
Douglas Petrie.
Your inner child is an idiot, but like it's fine.
Don't beat yourself up about it.
Yeah, nobody's mad about it. You can see why they made this movie. It was for money, but it certainly wasn't for a creative reason. They didn't have anything to say.
And the most popular child actor in the world at the time was blonde, and they were like, "We got to strike while the iron is hot."
Yeah,
Elijah Wood can't carry this weight with his brunette locks.
This kid's about to turn 13 and then quit acting for decades. So we got to do this. Is this the movie that broke him? I think it might have been.
It's either this or Getting Even with Dad, right?
I think this was one. It was either his last one or one of his last ones before he went on hiatus. And I think
according to IMDb, it is the last one before hiatus, but who knows what that means. I feel like Getting Even with Dad was the last one, but maybe I'm wrong. What
do you think, everybody? You're on childsandidiot@gmail.com. You can email us. You can leave a voicemail or text us at 615-576-0525. You can find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And haven't figured out TikTok yet. We try every day.
TikTok. Well, first thing, the URL is TikTok, not TikTok.
Oh, you see? Maybe that's what I'm getting wrong.
That's why those kids in the parking lot
were laughing at you. We want to thank all our patrons, including
Brianna Wyatt,
Josh Frigo,
Travis Vance,
the supreme ruler of this podcast,
Demons Illustrating,
His Honor the Mayor,
Dan McIntyre,
Beth Surmont,
David Mort,
Jonathon Day,
Just Cuz,
Scalfasaurus.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I have to do this in Jeff Goldblum voice, so I apologize. Dr. Malcolm's Heaving Bosom.
Heather Tuggle.
Okay. Tyler Richardson.
Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
Karen Kurd.
Lindsey Nell.
The Zesty.
Jacob Grimm.
Particle Man.
Dramatically placed hot dog.
Larissa Maestro.
T. Smith.
Jeremy Powlen.
Kevin from Cleveland. Thank you all very, very much. We really appreciate your support. If you want to become a patron like them, patreon.com/YourInnerChildIsAnIdiot. I'm just going to find some change to jingle rhythmically while we go out. Do you want to list, do you want to just read from the NASDAQ? Let us know how the stocks are doing? That seems like a rich person thing. I'll check on my Dogecoin.
So you got your earnings. You got Deere & Company, PT Telecomat, Munikase. You know what? This isn't gold. This is nothing.
It's bad.
Money is so boring. I can't imagine having a whole family based off of it.
The riches.
Do you know they invented being rich and that's why it's called that?
Oh.